We did have a pretty epic fight over board games when we first got married.
Oh, yes. We would like to hear this.
Figured this would be juicy information. Welcome, everybody, to another session with the Board Avengers. Today, it's just me, the Board Game Critic, and my wife, Madison. Say hi.
Hi.
And then we're here with Ben and Em from Date Night Dice.
Hey, what's
up?
Hi.
We just decided we wanted to get together. We're kind of in the unique situation of having similarly aged kids that are young. Evenings are kind of our spare time to game, and we wanted to go through some of our favorite games for just two people. Probably amongst the less, well, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what you say, but generally, after a day of wrestling kids and stuff, we don't want something too intense. It's just like, all right, let's chill. Let's not do something too thought intensive. But anyway, wanted to jump in right there. Let's just get like a list of games out there, and then we have some questions for you. Actually, I'm kind of curious about some of
those. Sounds good.
I'll put you on the spot later. But what are some of your go-to games for two players? A good date night for you guys.
You're right. I think that the answer to this is going to be different than the standard answer.
Yeah.
Right. But why don't you answer the question first? So see, here's the thing, right? I always want to play stuff, and I always want to play new stuff, and I always want to play hard stuff because that's what I like to do.
Which is fine, but not for, like you said, after a day with the kids and then bedtime and like packing backpacks and like all that stuff. The last thing I want to do is learn a new game. I honestly say that's only for the weekends. Like I'm not. So for me, the go-to thing is a game that we for sure both know. Mm-hmm. Like maybe you have to check one rule kind of thing, but we know them. So for us, like some of the harder games, tougher games would be like Arnak or Underwater Cities or Viticulture. But like we know the rules like front to back easily.
And two-player games of those can go relatively fast, right? Like
yes, with two players, it's not
longer.
so bad. Yeah.
Well, and that was one point I wanted to bring up is we have sort of like I've almost like gotten used to playing those games at two. Mm-hmm. And then when you bring it to game night and you're actually going to play it with four players, it's almost like you're on the spot. Like the teach has to go well. Mm-hmm. All four players are like want to play and are like serious about it. And it always takes a lot longer. It's almost like we're spoiled a little bit in that if we get over the hump of really learning what I would call a medium-heavy game, right? We're not going to play heavy games on a weeknight. Right. But if we learn a medium-heavy game inside and out, the like really nice thing about doing that two players is like you kind of get to explore it in a way that you don't get to at game night. Yeah. Game night is always like, I got to nail the teach, and then we're going to get into it, and then I got to make sure, we're all there. Because we're not necessarily going to, like, pull it out again tomorrow.
Right.
But when we play something like that at home, there's always the first play is we'll learn it. It's okay. It's just the two of us. We'll learn it. The second play is let's play it. The third play is I'm going to beat you. And then the fourth, fifth, sixth play is...
Then we know it, and it's like a challenge. Who won last time? Tonight it's going to be me, right? Like that kind of thing.
I mean, I would say typically the third play is the shortest one, and then the plays after that get longer and longer as you start to get more serious about wanting to beat the person who beat you last time.
Maybe we have an unhealthy relationship.
I was going to say, that's like the perfect segue into one of my like key questions. Is it hard, like as a spouse, like playing mainly against your spouse and playing competitive games where you are out to beat them? And have you had like arguments or frustrations based around in-game decisions?
I think I have definitely done where I've had the times where I'm like, I haven't won in like weeks. And then I'll be like, come on. And I'll be getting frustrated. But then I always rub in his face that I have the high score in all the games. So I'm always like, yeah, you beat me, but I have the high score still. And so that's my number one thing. I try to hold on to that.
Yeah,
I don't think we've gotten any like fights though.
We don't. There's not too many hard feelings with in-game decisions, but there are definitely game types that we steer clear of. like smaller games that are typically for 2 players or lower player counts that are like really heavy on optimization. Think of a game like Blitzkrieg, right? I'm going to outmaneuver you in this small 30-minute game. Or I actually grabbed Res Arcana is very similar sort of thing.
It's
right?
aggressive.
I'm gonna outplay. I'm gonna maximize some aspect of this thing that's gonna break the points thing, and I'm gonna win. And in those kind of games, because I'm always like, ooh, this to this to this to this to this. I always win. I always win those games.
We'll brag here.
Always.
It is true, and it's like 15 minutes, and I'm kind of like, well, now I feel like we wasted part of the night because we're just
what is the point?
Sitting here now. Yeah, exactly. And I know that you're always going to win those, and it's totally not my style of game to like be thinky about.
Right, so we don't have a lot of those 30-minute plays good at 2 games because it's not a good date night game for us. It doesn't end up being fun, and that's, I think, why we end up playing a lot of medium weight Euros, because we're very evenly matched.
It's nice too because you don't have the direct conflict in those like medium weight Euro, right? Like you can kind of play your own game, and mostly you don't really have run-ins. Every once in a while you like steal somebody's move or something like that, but for the most part, you can kind of just play out your thing.
Yeah, it's not a make or break of the whole game. Where in those kind of games, like instantly I do something that's stupid, and then it's like, well, you're going to win now because I can already see on his board. I'm like, well, I'm not going to be able to catch up to this.
My hope is always that we play one of those like 10 times. Like, let's say we play Blitzkrieg 10 times, and all of a sudden you're like seeing how the dominoes fall. Because a lot of times in the first couple of plays, I'm like, oh, if I just like push here, 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 I'm going to win.
That's not how my mind works, though. Yeah. So you're like engineering it, and I'm like thinking about school snacks for kids in the back of my mind. Right. So it's not, I need like the long play, the long con of trying to like build my winery before you or something. Like I need time.
Well, and that's been half the fun. And I don't, obviously I think we should have some questions right back at you guys too. Yeah. But like half the fun has been, how do we find these just right medium games that are heavy enough for me to like be satisfied. They're intricate enough where you can't just like figure it out in the first couple of plays. I think that's important. And also they either just naturally play well at 2 or they have systems built into them to play well at 2. Yeah. That a good example of that's like viticulture, right? So I have more props.
You are like...
More visuals.
There we go.
Wow.
Nice.
But the board, you definitely can't see it on there. It's too tiny and it's upside down. But the board has 3 spots on each of the worker placement actions, and depending on the player count, more of them open up. In the 2-player game, there's only 1 action spot, or there's only 1 spot on each action. It's so tight. It's a completely different game at 2 when there's only 1 wine order spot. There's only 1. And so you're playing this very like competitive race almost to like get the orders before other people, or before your opponent.
Yeah, what are your go-to?
Our go-tos. What would you say?
Just
on the top of your head.
For a long time, it was like, I don't know. We love Seven Wonders Duel.
Yep.
That one's a fun one.
It's a Seven Wonders Duel we have here.
I mean, that's the king, right?
That is fantastic.
It is. It's great. It's perfectly balanced for 2 players. It's quick. If you know Seven Wonders already, it's a no-brainer. Like it just plays super quick. We'll pull Welcome to out like very, very regularly. Have you guys played this one?
Yes. Okay. I wish we played it more.
Emily. One of you like it and one of you don't?
I'm not a fan of like most roll-in rights or whatever, that style. So if we have like a large group or like are playing with Ben's family or like on a holiday, I feel like that's great for the group. But if it's just the 2 of us, I want more like interaction on the board. So for that one, it's kind of like you're doing your own thing. So I don't know if we've ever played a 2-player. Maybe when we first got it.
We actually enjoy.
A family one.
we can actually just like you play it in bed. Like we'll just be like sitting in bed and just like have the cards or play it digitally on Board Game Arena and like have the app on our phones because it actually has a pretty good app with it too, where you almost don't even have to pull out the game. But we play that one pretty frequently. But
it's kind of light. It's a way to like get in a game without taking a ton of time. Sometimes, you have that limitation.
Yeah,
roll and writes are definitely our style though. So
yeah.
Well,
yeah. I feel like most people love them way more than me, so I'm the freak in this situation.
But the thing is, like the other thing we do together that is that night where we don't want to do anything is we play video games. So, like somehow when we lived in a tiny little rental. And we had like a TV and a PlayStation, and
like
we would play split screen Borderlands on a PS3. So I don't know why we got into that, but we did.
I don't know.
And so
we were
now
probably bored, and we're like, we gotta do something.
Right, like 15 years later or whatever, we have like Emily has her computer that she edits photos on, but like it can run Borderlands, and so like we'll boot it up on that, and we still play that. We don't like play a ton of other games. We were playing Mario to sort of like get the juices flowing before we came on the camera here tonight. But
just to do something.
That's awesome.
That's our like chill night. So then when our minds are actually up and running, then it's like, okay, well we'll play a board game. Let's play a big boy board game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
nice to know that we're not the only ones that kind of get to like the end of an evening. I almost always want to play a board game. That's definitely not Maddie's case. But I'm pretty much always want to play a board game. But there are several nights where it's just like, no, like my mind is not up for it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like you, Ben. I prefer to play a new game. Like there's so many games that I just want to experience. I'm not like the play the same game over and over kind of a person. And so that especially when we get to the end of a night, it's like, oh, I have to learn a game. I have to teach the game, and then we have to play it. Probably going to be 2 hours.
I don't have patience for it.
Yes,
right.
Exactly. Yeah,
So-
that's why I say weekends for that. I'm like, maybe if like then I can try to sleep in. Not that that ever happens.
Yeah.
But sleep in the next day, or like you at least aren't rushing the next day.
Yeah.
For,
Right.
Like,
You
kids
don't
Sleep
try to
in
get
till
kids out the
7.
door and-
Yeah, exactly.
You're exactly right.
Yeah, I can sleep until 7, but I don't have to. Yeah, like you said, I don't have to be rushing out the doors. So
Yeah.
you have a little leeway then.
Well, how often are you guys? Well, let me ask this question 2 ways. How often are you guys playing board games together? And then how often are you doing something together during the week? Like, there's times where like I have my thing and Emily has her thing, or like I go to my game group and she watches TV, or sometimes I just play video games or paint or whatever, and we do different things. But like, so how often do you guys do stuff together, and how often of that is board games?
So we, like you, pretty early on in our marriage, we got into just like binge watching TV shows. And it was, in the place of video games, we just watched TV. We didn't have a gaming system when we first got married. And so we like make these books at the end of every year, and we list all of the TV series that we were like obsessed with during the year. So we like start out with like Prison Break, and what were some of our early ones in our marriage?
Chuck.
Chuck. I forgot about Chuck.
Psych. Yeah.
Yeah. And so lately we've been watching Superstore. That's like almost an every night thing. We prefer to have like one longer series that we're doing that are like 45-minute episodes for when we have the time, but we also prefer to have one of the short like 20-minute series going on. So that's like an every night thing unless we're playing board games. Then as far as when we play board games, we have some friends that come over weekly. Another couple, their kids are older so they can watch each other, which is nice.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, so they can come over pretty easily, and we've been working our way through Eon's End Legacy with them. We did Clank Legacy before that, so they're our legacy gamer friends.
That's what I was going to ask. I was going to say, what do you play? But
yeah. We do take breaks.
games,
Yeah, we played Galaxy Trucker last time.
Okay.
I think
That's
I
a good
liked
one.
it more than anybody else. I don't think
man, I love
anybody liked
Galaxy
it at
Trucker.
all except for me.
Really?
It was the first time playing the game. I feel like,
Yeah.
now going into it again, I was like, I did
Yeah.
not build this correctly.
And
for
we
this
ran
game.
like the
Right.
test flight scenario, so it was
Ah.
pretty scripted. Like we knew exactly what was coming up. None of us knew the value of things.
Yeah.
We were like,
I had no
we
idea what to
think
put.
cargo's worth something at the end, but we're not exactly sure.
Oh man, one of my friends loves that game, and the first time I played it, he just was like, "No, we'll play the whole like big 3-mission campaign
Yeah.
or whatever." And I was like, "Okay, sure." What I did so
You had
bad.
no idea. Yeah.
It's a weird one. It's hard to know the value of like being at the front of the line versus other things. Like it actually does have like a decent amount of depth that I was impressed with. I still don't know how to prioritize the different things that you need. I know I got too little crew and too little cargo storage for sure when I built my first one. But
Nice.
anyway, and then as far as us playing, just the two of us.
Like once or twice a week, I
Yeah.
feel like we will pull out a board game.
Yeah. If you've heard Voyages, it just ran its Kickstarter. It's by Postmark Games. But it's just they fulfilled it completely digitally. So it's a print off at your house, roll and write
yeah.
type game. You're like pirates going
Okay.
around an ocean. Super fun. We can like roll the dice on my phone, and then we each have like an iPad, and we just draw it on our iPads. And
This is
that's
awesome.
nice.
Yeah.
yeah, it's super relaxing.
I'm so lazy of us.
We are super lazy when it comes to that. Sometimes you just want to be in your bed. It's just like that is how like my mind starts
No, like
relaxing.
I feel like then I could maybe get behind a roll and write if
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Also, if I
You
was
know it
like
was a real-
pre-ready for bed, because that's
Yeah.
the thing. Half the time, it's like I
I
still
know.
have to like, I don't know, like check on the kids and do this and like by the time I'm like get ready for bed,
you have to mummify your face each night.
I have to try to anti-wrinkle this. Yeah, it's like an hour later, and I'm like, well, now I'm gonna be real tired. Like,
Embalm
so
Yeah.
your face for the evening.
I wish. If only.
Just give in, Em. Let the wrinkles come like me.
We have enjoyed legacy game. Well, we've only done one legacy game with just the two of us, which was My City. I don't know if you've done this one.
We haven't.
No, but I've heard that's a great one, 2-player.
It is.
I've loved it 2-player. Like
been
really easy. We can play through each like what are they called? Are they chapters and episodes?
Yeah.
Can't remember.
I
You
can't
play
remember what they call the
each
little things.
like section
Yeah,
has
I think it's a
3
chapter.
little. Yeah, I think it's a chapter, and then it has 3 episodes that you play with that are all kind of on like a story movement through it. I'll be honest, the story's like nothing really interesting. There's like it's you can barely call it a story.
I was gonna say I don't really remember much of a story.
Okay.
It's like
but
surprise, you've started building churches.
yeah, you're building your
It's like-
city.
There's not really like a story. It's just like your city's getting bigger. But it's been super fun as a 2-player. It keeps, I think like the legacy ones just keep us wanting to play games at night. Sometimes we have so many games that it's just like, oh, if we're going to play a game, which one do we choose? And like so many
Yeah.
options. When you have this going, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, we need to play the next like chapter of
Yeah, we gotta keep
My
going.
City.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
just,
been nice.
I just picked up Destinies from Lucky Duck, I think. And
Okay.
because we love Chronicles of Crime.
Uh-huh.
And it's the same QR code system, but a fantasy
Oh.
RPG. And so I'm wondering if that'll get us, because, over the years we tried Descent 2nd Edition, and we played Tabletop Gloomhaven for about 6 months. And we've tried a couple other here or there, but nothing really like stuck. And I feel like this will be the one that finally runs smooth enough that maybe we would stick to it and want to see like, oh, let's follow this campaign to the end because it's just like easier to play.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever played Gloomhaven on a tabletop, but like
It's a
it
lot of
sucks.
work.
Yeah, like,
It's so
a-
much.
It's such a great game, but
much.
it is like, especially now that there's the digital version. I don't know why I would ever put it back, set it up back on the
I
table.
was just telling my sister this.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, not only is it cheaper, but I don't have to pull stuff out. I don't have to fiddle with anything. It just runs itself. And I was
Yes.
like, yeah, I think that's the only way I will ever play Gloomhaven. I played it once on the tabletop, and I was like, it's just too much for me. I don't like dungeon
So much
crawlers though.
work.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Dungeon
it's
crawlers
so
just
much
feel
work.
like watching a movie in slow motion to me. It's like you're just seeing like a tiny little move, and then like you wait for everybody else, and then it's like, oh, now I'm gonna make another little move and like a little hit.
Yes.
It's
I'm with you.
I
think.
understand that, especially if you're playing with like a large group. It's like 25 minutes before it gets back to you, and you're like, I'm sorry, what are we doing? Like at that point.
What was my goal again?
Yeah.
Crazy. We don't have too much more time, but I did want to share a story. We did have a pretty epic fight over board games when we first got married.
Oh, yes. We would like to hear this.
Figured this would be juicy information. So the infamous game, which have we played it since that day? I don't know.
I think we did.
But you're gonna have to if you haven't.
So it's go again. Martinique. It's out of print. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it. I did a YouTube video on it being one of the more underrated games. It's pretty intriguing. At the very beginning of the game, you set aside like a row and a column, right? And that's going to be where the treasure is. And then in like a clue fashion, you're going around the board and uncovering clues that only you can see. So you're eliminating rows or columns. And then at the very end of the game, both of you send your pirates to the bar, and that's like the order in which you get to guess. I had played the game what I thought was flawless, and it's very chess-like. You're moving around. If you jump over them, then they have to expose one of their clues. I had played what I thought was so well. I had exposed tons of her clues. I had the majority already, and I knew, I was like, it is in one of two spots. I knew for sure. But she got the first guess because she had sent one of her pirates back to the bar first. Yeah, on her first guess, she guessed one of those two spots. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And I had the next three guesses. So it was her, then I had three, and then she had a couple, and then I had one later on. And and she guessed like that spot.
And I won.
Yep, and she won.
Yes, look at how smug you are.
I love how she's
and I was like,
and
why do you have to be all mad about it?
Yeah,
I was
come
ticked.
on.
Obviously still has feelings.
Yeah,
He's still
how
angry
long
about
ago
it.
was this?
Not long
8
enough.
years
Yeah,
ago.
it was like 8 or 9 years
Okay.
ago. It was a long time ago.
Long time.
Yeah.
It was just so baffling because I was like, oh, I have this in the bag. And truth be told, you had a lot of spaces that you could have guessed.
I don't remember all
Should
the
have had
Yeah,
that.
she's like, I put this in the past a while
needed
ago.
that first guess.
Yeah, it was impressive. But at the time, I think I said something about like that was just pure luck.
Yeah, so then I got mad because I'm like, wow,
Okay.
really? You're telling me I
Wrong
won
thing to
because of
say.
luck? And so then we were like, we need to shelf this game. I think we lent it to a couple other friends for a while. We're like, enjoy playing because we can't bring that up.
It's, I mean,
Oh,
to
man.
this day, it's probably one of the biggest fights we've had in our marriage, which we don't fight. We're pretty easygoing, both of us. And so
We've learned what words to not say to each other.
I'll admit that I was in the wrong. It was wrong of me to negate her victory because
Right.
that is the game. Like you do have that option, and she had first guess, so it was fair and square, and she did well. But
I've learned not to say I just ordered some board games. That's a few words I've learned. Not
Right? Yeah.
oh, I don't
But
say
then
anything.
they just come on the porch, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what is
isn't that
this?
just surprising?
I think
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
worse. That's worse when just the box shows
How did
up.
these get here?
What is this charge on the credit card to a board game place? I don't even
Yes.
ask anymore.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think we've struck this understanding that I'm a pretty reasonable board game buyer, that I do my research and I watch for
Right,
deals
yes.
and all of that. So if I buy a board game, Maddie's pretty good to be like, all right, I know you've probably thought this through and it wasn't an
Yes.
impulse thing.
Mhm.
Well, I enjoy
You're
playing
the
board games.
opposite, so
Oh,
don't.
come on. That is not true at all.
You're the
If it was, yeah, I have a pretty reasonable
You're like,
collection of games over
someone
here.
mentioned it. I should buy it immediately
That's
without
not true.
asking.
I don't buy games that often anymore.
What came yesterday?
Well, once in a while, I buy games.
What did come yesterday? I want to know.
It was Destinies in the expansion, and it was the
Micro macro.
the original
Oh.
Micro Macro,
Yeah.
and then Streets,
Nice.
which is like a little like neighborhood building tile laying game.
Is Streets the sequel to Villagers or no? That's not.
I'm not sure.
No, it's like a maybe it
Can't
is.
remember
It's in
that.
a
I don't
box
know.
that's like
Just came out.
It's a little
Is it a
bit bigger
white
than
box
like
like
a
this?
Yes,
Yeah,
it is a white box
Yeah.
like that.
It's a sequel to one called
Is it?
Villagers, I think.
Ah, okay.
But
I don't know.
like-
Looked cool.
Something else too is in that box.
Yeah, maybe some other
Something
Something
else.
else.
So we
I
got a pretty
know.
big
I'm
box
trying to, like,
all
look
full of
over
I had to
here,
hit the
but-
free shipping.
The free shipping.
That's
Free
right. They
shipping.
do get you on the free shipping. Yeah, I
Always.
just got
That's
I just got the next Eon's End, the Legacy of Gravehold, and 2 of the big box expansions. We have a seriously problematic quantity of Eon's End in our house right now. But
One is too
Well,
big for the shelf, so
If you're playing it.
it's true. We do play it. Anyway, so I think that's the bulk of what we had to talk about. There was one other question. Oh, just because I have you on here, I may crop this off the end of the video, but I want to know about Merchant's Cove because you've posted about it several times and
We have.
it looks awesome to me. But tell me about it.
It is. Here's the thing about that game, and there's another game that came out that's very similar to it recently, or it's going to come out soon, called Free Radicals. But there are these games that are just each player is playing a mini game inside of a bigger game, and the thing is, I think you could change your mind here or change what I'm saying, but I think you could say that the bigger game that everybody's playing is okay, and all the mini games are okay. But what I like about it, what scratches the itch, is there's enough different merchants in there that it scratches the itch of the person who likes to play new games all the time. Because I always get to try a new one, and by the time I've circled back around, there's like 7 of them if you get the expansion. You know, I've kind of like, oh, I want to try that one again. It's been a while because every time you play, you're essentially playing a different game, and then the delivery game that's happening on the bigger board of what colors are going to buy what, that you're trying to like, that's where you're playing against the other people. I see that you found green treasure. Well, I don't want the big goods dock to be full of green guys, or maybe I do, because maybe I'll just also make green goods, but I might make them a different way. It's really beautiful looking. It's really
nice
cool
for
how it
the
has all the different
variety.
things. It works surprisingly well, but be aware, neither the mini games or the bigger game are going to knock anybody's socks off. Right? It's kind of a gimmick, right? But it's kind of a cool one.
Yeah.
All right.
It's fun. But yeah, you get the variety of playing like a new little mini game, and then also the variety of what you choose. Like hitting things, what you choose, and then going against each other. So it might be like, well, when I was the captain, I went against you as the, I don't even know what they are. One of the factions, but then like, you know, maybe I do the same one, but you're a different faction, so it kind of plays off a little bit different. So you do have that variety of like, it switches it up just enough, and it's like, it's really pretty, and it's kind of just a fun, like the art is fun, and the little boats with the people, like that's just fun in general. So
I'm a sucker for pretty games.
It's cool
it
looking.
is really cool
I mean,
looking.
it's very, the production is off the charts. It's even all the little mini games and the boards are all double layered, and they have all this little fancy stuff. And you know, the captain has a spinner and some little boats, and you know, it's cool.
I would love that.
And it is fun to learn like the new little mini game, because the big picture is the same. You're trying to like make goods. Just every merchant makes goods in a different way. So it is fun to be like, okay, well, how does this one make goods, or how do they do this, and like get points.
It's interesting. Is it? You know, when we first played it, I was like, "Oh, this is better at more players. This would be better at 3, 4."
think
And
I like
I've
it
played it at 5. It's not good at 5, but it's
like
because
that's
the
too
mini
long.
games are too simple to wait for people's turns to do your mini game turn again.
Just doesn't feel worth the wait.
Right, but
Yeah, because it's pretty quick. I mean, it's quick when we do it for the most part.
at the 2-player game, like on your board, you're trying to make goods according to who's going to buy goods, but you have some control over who's going to buy goods. In a 2-player game, you have half the control, right? So you can really make it not. the first couple times we played, we were just trying to make it fit our board. And the last few times we've played, I tried really hard to make it not fit Emily's board because I'd rather make a little bit of money and her make none than I make a lot of money.
That is true. Where I'm trying to go for something, I look over and I'm like, well, crap, he already has.
Exactly.
So.
But that's it. It's not really any more than that. I draw some stuff from a bag and I figure out what buckets to put them in so that it helps me and hurts her.
And it is nice for that late night. Like, once you know all of them, it's not super tricky. It's not a big thinker. So that's nice, too. I'm not, doing a big strategy. I'm just kind of having fun with my board.
Yeah.
So. It is nice. Awesome. Well, thank you. That gives me... It, scratches the itch to hear somebody, talk about it very, realistically. Because sometimes you just get, all of the... social media just we play this, it's awesome, it's fun, and
it's not that, right?
Okay.
It's really expensive, but it shows. And it's fine. It's fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's casual.
Yeah,
cool.
Definitely.
I'll just have to look to play it somewhere else then before I dive into that one, which is usually the case with $60 games, but Awesome. Well, thank you so much for jumping on. I know it's a lot later for you guys than it is for us, so I appreciate you taking the time. And it's been nice to talk. I wanted you guys to meet Maddie, and it's always fun to hang out as couples.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Likewise,
nice to
for
meet
sure.
You guys.
Nice to meet you.